Welcome back to my Bible summaries. We're in 2 Nephi chapter 10. Please feel free to like and subscribe. In chapter 10, I circled verse 3 to read in your own time. In chapter 11, verse 3 says, "Wherefore by the words of 3, God said, I will establish my word." And it continues on to say, "Nevertheless, God sendeth more witnesses sometimes, and he proveth all of his words." In chapter 12, I circled verse 2 and 11, 20, and it says, "The fear of the Lord shall come upon all." In 13, I circled verse 6. "Say unto the righteous that it is well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings." I circled verses 16 through 17 and 24. And this is quoting Isaiah 4. "In that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, Let us be called by thy name." I circled verse 4. This is like Isaiah 5. I highlighted the woes in verses 18, 20, 21, and 22. And I also circled verse 23. In chapter 16, it's like Isaiah 6. I circled verse 10. There's nothing in 17 or Isaiah 7. Isaiah 8, there's verse 12, which I circled. In verse 19, it talks about, should the people seek unto their God for the living, they hear from the dead. So it's anti-Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't believe that you can speak with the dead. But we should seek unto your God for the living to hear from the dead. In chapter 19, I highlighted verse 6. In 20, I highlighted verse 15 and 22. And then in chapter 21 of 2 Nephi, you can compare it to Isaiah 11. It quotes that, and I circle verses 1 through 4, verse 6, verse 10. And there's nothing in 22. 23, it talks about the burden of Babylon or the destruction of Babylon. I circled verse 6 and verse 12. In Isaiah 14 or 2 Nephi 24, I circled verses 12 through 15, which talks about how Lucifer fell from heaven. I also circled verse 24. Isaiah speaks many things which were hard for many of my people to understand. The words of Isaiah are plain unto all those that are filled with the Spirit. There's more. When the day shall come that they believe in Christ and worship the Father in his name with pure hearts and clean hands, for there is save one Messiah spoken of by the prophets, and that Messiah is he who should be rejected of the Jews. The Messiah cometh in 600 years. So we're in 600 BC. It is by the grace that we are saved after all we can do. We talk of Christ, we rejoice in Christ, we preach of Christ, we prophesy of Christ, and we write according to our prophecies, that our children may know to what source they may look for a remission of their sins. Signs of his birth and also of his death. They that kill the prophets, buildings shall fall upon them and crush them. The righteous that hearken unto the words of the prophets. I circled verse 9 and 10. When the Spirit ceaseth to strive with man, then speedily cometh destruction. Concerning the last days, I circled verse 16. And I circled verse 19 and 22, 29 and 30. He denieth none that come unto him, black and white, bond and free, male and female, and he remembereth the heathen, and all are alike unto God, both Jew and Gentile. Alright, in chapter 27, verse 5, it talks about they rejected the prophets and your rulers, and the seers that hath he covered because of your iniquity. 3 witnesses shall behold it, the book of Mormon, or the plates, which we talked about in the introduction, by the power of God, besides him to whom the book shall be delivered, and they shall testify to the truth of the book and the things therein. By the way, this is quoting Isaiah 29. And there's none other which shall view it, save it be a few, or 8, according to the will of God, to bear testimony. I circle verses 15 through 19, 26 through 27, 31, and 35.